Hey guys, Chris here from Crua. Some of you are starting getting your hover chairs, and I know you've been asking us for a detailed setup video, so we're going to go ahead and do that for you here today. I'll take you through a quick unboxing and then I'll hand it off to Derek to do the detailed setup part. Of course, our Irish weather is not really cooperating here today, so we're going to do all this indoors, but obviously it'll be the same indoors or out. So let's get started. Alright guys, when you get the hover chair, this is how it's going to come to you in the box. We've included an outer bag here. It's not necessary, but it does help keep all the bits and pieces together, so you can use it if you want to, but it's not necessary. So take a look inside. You're going to see that there's another bag inside where we've got the air mattress, we've got the carabiner, and we've got the tree strap. And then we actually have the chair itself. Now the chair itself is wrapped up. You also get, by the way, the instructions and a brochure inside the bag as well. Now, the chair itself is going to be rolled up. And inside that, if you ordered the foot hammock, you're going to get the foot hammock in there as well. And you are going to get the poles. So two are for the seat underneath, and one is to spread apart the mesh back, just to keep it from closing in on your shoulders. But that's everything that you get. You will notice, and what some people have been commenting on, is that nothing is really connected. The D-rings are all there. So what we're gonna do now is we'll go ahead and turn this over to Derek, and we'll walk through a detailed setup on how to put this up and how to make all the adjustments to make it fit right for you.
Hi everybody, so here we have the cushion now, which has been inflated. Very simple mouthpiece here to inflate, and to deflate you pull the second toggle out. Again, quite simple. You'll see at the front of the hover chair there's a zip, which allows you to put, after inflation, to put the cushion in, put the seat in. The easiest way is just grab the back of it, push it right in, so it's nice and snug against the back of the hover chair. Like this, and then close over, a nice light zip again at the front. So very easy, slip it across, and that's your cushion in situ and ready to go. Here you'll see a QR code, self-explanatory. If you'd like to become a Crua ambassador and share some of your experiences with the hover chair, just scan this with your phone and all the details or all the instructions will come up of how to upload your photographs or video. As you saw, you got 3 poles in total. I flipped over the chair here, and on the bottom of the chair you'll find 2 sleeves, and these are for the 2 shorter poles. Now these poles we've added just to stop the chair from closing in around you and making it feel that little bit claustrophobic. So all you simply do is, there's a little piece of Velcro at the opening of each side, and slip in the poles one at a time, very simply, and just close it back onto its natural fit again. These poles are covered at each end so they don't damage the sleeves. Again, slip it in there, and again just let the Velcro close in its natural position. So that's probably a little bit tight. That's the kind of natural slot for it right there. Now that the seat poles are in, the next thing is to look at the hanging system. Now you'll have to set this up for yourself at the start, but once it's done once, you shouldn't have to redo this. It's set up, and when you're folding it away in future, you can let all of this set up. So it's only a one-time setup. Okay, so first of all, at the back of the chair, you can see there's a webbing system here. The important thing to note is that this webbing system needs to be not tangled. It needs to be nice and straight. It should come, the easiest way is just set it out like this. It should be nice and straight coming out from the back of the chair like this, and then it naturally falls to the correct side when you bring it back. If you hold it up here, again, making sure all the time this is straight and not tangled. If you hold this by the O-ring at the top, so this is where your carabiner is going to be going in, shortly, then you'll find that there's a left and a right. They fall, you know, quite easily, and it's quite obvious which is left and which is right. There's 2 sets of D-rings here, which is what I'm going to talk about now. Okay, so again, make sure this is all straight, not tangled. Very simply, hold it by the O-ring, and then your 2 sets of D-rings will fall left and right very naturally, and you'll be able to see the next step quite clearly. And then, I'm going to put this down just for a second. This webbing is also attached to the side, to either side of the chair. Again, very important, just make sure this is straight. Make sure it's not tangled or anything, it's just because that makes it more awkward for adjusting afterwards. So straight out once again, and you'll find the top of the webbing. Again, grab the O-ring, making sure that there is no tangle left and right. So this is my side here. Now, when you're putting the webbing through the D-rings, probably a little trick. Again, I just want to make sure of this. Probably a little trick is to bring it through the two D-rings, fold it over is what I do. It makes it a little bit easier. Bring it through the two D-rings at the start, and then when you're bringing it back on itself, it goes over the first ring but under the second ring, so it goes between them. So it goes through the two D-rings. You have the straight part of the D-ring is in the other webbing. We're dealing here with the curved part of the D-ring. So bring it right through like this, put it through the two D-rings and back through one only. So you're leaving it around this guy almost. And that's just to make sure that you have it correct and it doesn't slip afterwards. So once that's adjusted and once that's in there, this is self-tightening. So the more weight you put on this, as you can see, there's no way that's slipping. What's important to note here is that you don't allow the webbing to fold over on itself or anything like that, because if you do, this will slip. You want to make sure it's nice and straight, like that, along the D-ring, in between the two, and then once that's correct, you're going to be using this part of the webbing for adjusting the height later, but that's not going to slip. And like I said, it's self-tightening, so the more weight you put on that, actually the tighter it gets. But it's important that it's set up correctly from day one. Okay, now after the D-rings are set up, I want you to do a quick check like this. Just hold it from the O-ring at the top, and what you should see is this. You should see the webbing nice, straight, no folds, no twists or anything like that. The webbing has gone up, it's gone through the D-rings from the inside out. So you should then see like this, the adjustment side of the webbing itself should be on the outside of the chair. So the webbing coming up from the chair is on the inside, it's gone through the two D-rings, and now the adjustment part of the webbing should be on the outside of the chair. Now, once both sets of D-rings are set up correctly with their adjustments on either side, take your carabiner, which came out of the little bag, clip it into the O-ring, and that's ready to hang. So here we have the hanging strap. This comes with the HoverChair. Anybody who's familiar with hammocking would be familiar with this system. It's quite similar. So you have 6 adjustment loops on this side and a single adjustment loop on the other side. We're just hanging it from the beam indoors today, because we have a typical Irish wet August day, unfortunately. But and also you can use the HoverChair indoors, of course. We do it in the office. But here again, you'll see there's an adjustment depending on how high the branch is or whatever you're hanging it from. You can wrap this a couple of times as well. Or if it's porch at home and you need to rise it up, you can wrap it around a couple of times. In our case, the ideal is just about there, so I'm going to keep it around there, and we'll slip our carabiner on there, and then we'll talk about the adjustments on the side of the chair. Now, here's the carabiner. We're going to clip it in, just like that. Some people won't like this kind of hanging down, so what I do in those cases is just stick it in again, so you don't have that loose bit of your hanging strap hanging down. Now you'll see that the chair at this stage is quite high and the back of it is drooping down. That's where the adjustments come in. So, and obviously our pole, our spreader bar at the back. So we're going to go through now each adjustment point just to make sure you get the right comfort levels and heights and that kind of stuff, and so you can maximize the HoverChair. Now that the chair or the HoverChair is hanging, the next thing is about setting up the adjustments. You'll notice that I've had a quick change of clothes for this section. In reality, we're reshooting this section because we felt the last way we shot it wasn't quite clear enough, so we want to make sure nothing is missed here. So, first thing to do, get your spreader bar. That's the one bar that's left. The longer bar goes into the eyelets, the back, 2 eyelets, the top of the webbing, and there like that, it slips in quite easily. Now, You'll find that the chair at this stage is quite slouched at the back. Okay, you don't want that. You want to maximize the lumbar support. So we can adjust this height to there. Now, it's not all the way to the top, but it's up to around there until you can see that the chair is horizontal or thereabouts. It's not an exact science, but that the seat is actually horizontal. It's not tilting too far forward. It's not tilting too far back. It's horizontal, which is for me and for this setting is around there. So you can adjust this with this back setting we talked about earlier. To, I would say, about there. Okay? Now again, make sure that your webbing isn't knotting over here. And check it, perfect. A little bit, I think. There, okay? So now, this is your optimum starting position. And again, the height on this, just to give you an idea, from the seat to the O-ring, and again, this will change slightly from person to person and from setting to setting, but in this particular case, that setting for me is about 133 centimeters, 52 inches, or thereabouts. That's from the O-ring, which connects to the carabiner at the top, right down to the seat or down to the cushion. Okay, so now your individual adjustments from here are the back. I like it like this. I like it quite upright if you're talking to people or you're reading or whatever the case may be. But you can release the D-ring a little bit and give yourself a little bit more recline. And that, in that case, you'll be able to lean back a little bit more, but be careful that you don't go too far with it, because that's when you lose this lumbar support. This is designed to maximize the lumbar support, this breathable back. So just, if you go down too far, you'll be back to the same problem we had at the start, and too much slouch, okay? These two individuals at the side, they control tilt. So if you find that it's slightly off, you can tighten one or release one, but you'll see that they're actually more or less out to the max. There's about 10 centimeters, maybe 4 inches there of webbing left, but they're more or less out to the max. And while we're talking about D-rings, just to reiterate, make sure when you're using the D-rings that there's no fold on the webbing. And always a good trick is to tighten both sides together first. This is after you adjust it or before you sit in it. And then tighten the other side just to make sure there's no slipping. Because if it slips a little bit, after you set it, you have to get out, reset it again, get back in. It just becomes a little bit of a pain. So just make sure that these are tightened in both together first, and then individually like that, and make sure that there's no slippage and no resetting required. Now, once you have the chair set up like this, and that's your optimum setting for you, whatever that may be, the best thing to do to adjust the height, because obviously branches or porches or wherever you're using this are going to vary in height. The best way to adjust the height from now on is from the carabiner up or from the O-ring up using the tree strap. So you'll see here I have a 7-loop tree strap. We're just using one of the beams here in the building, but there's a 7-loop tree strap which you can adjust the height. You can wrap it around a couple of times for lower branches. So from now on, I would only be adjusting the height, or you should only adjust the height using the tree strap. That keeps it simple. It means you don't have to go back and reset the HoverChair every time you want to use it. And this is quite simply a slip-through system. Use both sides of the tree strap, as we said, and make sure that, so you'll see the carabiner is going through the single loop on one side and one of the adjusted 6 loops on the other side, but it goes through both simultaneously. And that's the HoverChair hanging. Now, if like me, you don't like bits of straps hanging down, we've added a little piece of Velcro, so what I would do is just bring them all together. And this guy, there's still a little bit of this blue hanging strap coming down, so I would just bring them together with that. There's a little bit of a Velcro toggle in here. Again, the only use for that, or the only purpose for that, is that we can actually wrap it around all of the straps, as you can see there, and back on itself, and just tidies up all those straps. This is after you have it set up. You know it's in that optimal position for you. It's important not to make it too tight, because if you're pulling these up too tight, there's danger of releasing the D-rings. So let a little bit of play there, but then all the extra pieces of webbing, just fold them back up out of the way. It makes everything look neater and tidier. That's after you have everything set up. So now that's set up nice and comfortably for me. This is the kind of the angle I like, and you know, I like to be a little bit setting up a little bit more, but I like to sit back right into the back end of the chair. You'll see when you're in here, there's loops to hang your stuff from. There's pockets on the side for your valuables. There's an insulated drinks pocket here in the front, and then there's a large stuff sack here that doubles actually. Initially, you can store stuff in it when you're hanging here. But it also doubles up as the stuff sack for the chair. So when we wrap up the whole chair, it actually fits inside here as well. So we're going to show you how to do that too. Now, if you bought the extend version of the HoverChair, you have bought it with this foot hammock. And this is a very simple hammock. It actually clips on. If you're hanging a little bit higher and you want to just rest your feet, it'll clip on here to either side, like that. To these little clips on either side. It also comes with a separate hanging system, so if you're hanging at a porch and you want to keep your feet out horizontal, or if a branch allows it or something like that, you can use a separate hanging system, put this over the branch, and again the exact same thing. It's a very simple little clip-in system, and you can relax in comfort or hover in comfort. If you've added one or both of the tablet holder or the LED light, the light first very simply clips on the pole here for reading or whatever you want to use it for. This is a magnetic light as well with number of settings, so a very useful piece of kit. And this is your tablet holder, which quite simply hangs outside of the webbing. Again, this is for watching your tablet or even your phone or whatever it is. It just sits outside here, and you'll find that there are two hooks on the other side. They can hook into each other, and that's the height you'll be set at. Now again, there are toggles here for readjusting these heights on either side. So the adjustment of the toggles will bring it up or bring it down just by releasing the little button here. So again, you release both of them to bring it down, or if you want to bring it up, you just toggle them up, and they set at the outside of the bar here, and you quite simply adjust it to your own height. So when you're ready to pack HoverChair away, just release all the webbing and the straps again, unhook it via the carabiner from the hanging strap, and the next thing is just take out your 3 poles. One, remember the 2 from underneath inside the Velcro. 2, and 3. Next step after you take it down and take out the poles is to deflate the mattress. Little tip, if you want to deflate the mattress inside in the chair, just make sure the valve is on the outside when you're setting it up originally. And you can do either feasibly. You can deflate inside, or you can take it out and deflate it. I generally deflate it and roll them up separately. So I'll take it out and roll them separately, but you could feasibly do it all together. So then what you're left with is HoverChair and the cushion or the mattress separate. Now, when you're ready to store HoverChair away and get it back into the stuff sack, it's quite a simple process. Here we have the foot hammock, if you have it, the cushion here in the chair itself. Put everything into the middle, like that, and fold up this side, roughly in line with the corner of the bag itself. So both sides you'll see are more or less, doesn't have to be exact, but they're close to in line with the stuff sack itself. Keep them pushed over each other. You don't have to pack it too tightly, and don't roll it all the way to the edge, because then it gets too hard to put it in. I'd roll it to about here. I'd get the bulk of the body of it in, like this, on both sides. Don't push it too tight, like I said, because you don't want to damage the bag in any way. Put the whole thing in here, like this. Tree strap on top, and the poles are the only element that are separate. We played around with the idea of splitting these poles so you could fold them over and put them into the bag as well. We felt from a QC or quality control point of view, we preferred to keep them all in one, not add any joiners. So they're the only part that's separate from the actual bag itself. You can tighten it up with the little toggle here at the end, and that's nice and handy to carry. Your poles, you can either slip them in so that they're protruding or carry them separately, or you have the other bag as well to carry them in that that the HoverChair will be delivered in. And that's HoverChair, ready to go. So there you have it. That's HoverChair all set up, ready to relax. Happy hovering. Just on behalf of everybody here at Crua, thanks so much for supporting HoverChair and for its evolution through Kickstarter. Very much appreciated by everybody here, the whole team. So enjoy the product, and again, thanks for supporting Crua and thanks for supporting HoverChair.